Hi there, everyone. So today I wanted to share some thoughts and raise the awareness around a very specific part of perimenopause and menopause. And it's the kind of the symptom, the experience that so many of you told me about when I asked. It was a few weeks ago now. And I asked about what you really are struggling with, and anxiety was up there, and sort of almost joint first was brain fog. So in kind of to add my piece in terms of Menopause Awareness Day and month, I wanted to share my thoughts from a psychological perspective. I want to share my thoughts about brain fog and give you some really specific tips about how to help with this. So, brain fog. Because I'm a psychologist, I'm going to talk purely on from the psychological side of things. Brain fog, the research has shown, is very much related to our hormones fluctuating and changing and dropping. And there's a lot of resource for you to go out there and have a look at that. I believe testosterone is quite strongly linked to it and can help. And because we have estrogen receptors all over our bodies, including our brains, then estrogen can help. So I'm not saying that HRT can't help with that or other natural remedies. Actually, there's a lot out there in terms of the physical, the biological side, but this is the psychological piece that I wanted to share with you. And the reason why is because, well, there's lots of reasons, but an experience that has always stayed with me, makes me feel quite passionate about this, actually. So when I was a trainee clinical psychologist, which was in 2002, so it's a long time ago now. Oh, that's just made me feel a bit, that's a long time ago now. I was working in a clinical psychology department that was specialising in neuropsychological assessments. So assessments around memory, cognition, all that kind of stuff. And I was referred a lady who came to see me. I mean, I actually have I often have like suddenly memories, almost like flashbacks of women that I saw when in the years, in previous years as a clinical psychologist, women who were in their 40s and 50s, who I didn't even mention menopause because it was nowhere near on my radar, both obviously personally, but that's not the point, as professionally. And so I'm really passionate about changing that and doing some workshops for psychologists and therapists around menopause. However, I digress. But this lady came to see me, and I think she was probably late 40s, I'd say, reflecting back. And so she came because she had significant memory problems. It was totally debilitating. She wasn't able to function really at all. It was, for her to be referred to that service indicated that the level of difficulties she was having, which was frightening for her, of course. Such a young woman to be struggling so much with memory. So I did the full assessment, full neuropsychological assessment of all memory and cognition, all related kind of assessments and tests and all the rest of it, as well as emotional based assessments as well. And cut a long story short, in the session with me, when we did all the assessments, obviously it was in a room and it's quiet, it was just me. This woman had no memory problems whatsoever. She had no sort of organic, she had no difficulties with her brain functioning at all. It's completely in the average range, completely normal range. However, what did come through from that assessment was extremely high levels on the worry and rumination scores. Extremely high. So this woman was spending most of her time, sometimes conscious, but quite often it's just under consciousness actually, worrying. You know, worry, rumination, rumination. And it was that, because if your brain is online worrying most of the time, information there's no space, there's no processing kind of space to take information in. Because in terms of memory and brain fog, it's taking information in, it's processing it, and then there's the kind of output. So what you then express. So there was kind of no capacity in her system, in the processes, her mind processes to do any of that really. So therefore, the intervention was all around anxiety and worry. And so it's always stuck with me. Now, this doesn't mean, like I say, I've already mentioned the biological aspects to this. However, I'm here. I guess part of my raising awareness and what I see my role is to raise awareness around the psychological aspects. I don't mean it's psychological symptoms, but how our psychology, how we think, and feel, how we respond to our thoughts and feelings, how that then impacts our day-to-day lives. And so if you are someone who is struggling with brain fog, there are, like I say, there's lots of things to think about. But in terms of the psychological piece, what I would ask you is, are you a worrier? You know, quite often I have women coming to me and they'll say, yeah, I've always been a worrier. Ever since I was really young, I've always been a worrier. Because this has a huge impact on our ability to remember, and combined with the hormonal fluctuations, brain fog can just totally take over. So the three things that I wanted to share with you. Well, one thing before I get onto the actual, I mean, gosh, I could share. There's a lot. There are not a lot, but there are some really helpful ways to help with brain fog, psychological sorts of strategies and skills. And really interestingly, the women who have just gone through my 6-week course, Breaking Free from Anxiety, from Menopausal Anxiety, are reporting less brain fog. I mean, they are all taking HRT. Actually, not that women have to be taking HRT to do my course, but that's just how that's the case in this situation. And they're reporting less brain fog. Now, there are 6 steps, 6 weeks, 6 steps in the process that I take women through. I'm not obviously going to take you through all that right now. However, there's some really key elements I wanted to share with you. But before I do, the one thing I want to say is, I just feel like we are overwhelmed with too much. I think life is just too much. I think life is too much, full stop. Literally full stop, for everyone. For our kids, for men, for women, for everyone. Different ages. It's too much. It's too much. But let me not go on about that today. However, I would really invite you to think about, what can you cut out of your life and delegate? You know, what tasks, what things, what relationship, friendships maybe that drain you, whatever it might be. Anything, small tasks, house tasks. How can you? It is almost like a review of things, and how can you? What can you get rid of? And it's a beautiful time of the year to do this. It's very, autumnal. It's that shedding. But I'm talking practical things here. What can you take off your mental load? So have a think about that. That isn't actually one of my 3 things. The 3 things I want to share with you is, number 1 is space and rest. I don't need to say any more. It really needs to be your priority. Spaciousness, space in your day. I know that some of you will be working flat out. I do the same myself. However, if we prioritize space and rest, then we will have more space and we will have more rest. It doesn't mean like hours or even an hour, but 4 or 5 minutes of lying down and having deep rest, closing your eyes, quiet, we can find 4 or 5 minutes of the day, or going to bed a little bit earlier and having a deep rest, doing yoga nidra. That's a really lovely way of deep rest, having some more space. And that goes with the kind of decluttering our lives, as it were. What can you let go of and delegate? What can you declutter out of your life? That just then gives you that space. Spaciousness and rest during perimenopause and menopause is essential, and it will have an impact on your brain functioning. Carrying too much. We are carrying too much. So that's number one, space and rest. Number two, these are very specific, the last two are specific psychological sort of approaches, really. Number two is to notice, this is a sort of physical one, really. Notice when you are feeling anxious in your body, when worry has taken hold. It's really interesting, difference between worry and anxiety. I'm not going to go into the details now, but they're obviously very linked. However, worry, this is the thing about worry and the brain fog. Worry it is like being online. It is like, people talk about having your brain's got loads and loads of tabs open at once. And it is that, it's that whirring. You're online all the time. Anxiety can kind of then kind of blow up, really, and kind of intensify. But the worry leads to the worry does give physical sort of sensations in your stomach, or wherever it is. Sorry, I'm saying stomach because that's me. We all feel it in different ways. Some people get tingles, and some people feel dizzy. Some people feel in their throat. So wherever you feel it, what I want you to do is when you notice a kind of sensation around worry or anxiety, I want you to locate it in your body. I want you to really, really focus in on it. And then I want you to expand. I want you to give it some space. It's that word space again, actually. Give that sensation some space in your body. It's the complete opposite of probably what many of us want to do, which is to get rid of it. And that's not possible. It's not possible to get rid of it. And the more you get rid of it, the worse it feels. So we need to actually tune into it and give it some space wherever it might be in your body. Expand some space around it. Say to yourself, okay, oh, hi there, here you are again, whatever it is, physical sensation. Okay, I can see that you're there. I'm going to give you some space so you can just be. I'll give you some space. And that is a physical way of just really allowing the emotions to dissipate. So, and then the third thing I'm going to mention is we have lots of strategies in the approach that I use to kind of give us, this is really interesting. I'm going to use the word space again. Give ourselves some space from the thoughts that we're having, from those worrying, that online, worrying thoughts, to stand back from them and not be in it. And one strategy I wanted to share with you today is that we quite often use is to see those worrying thoughts as almost as if it's a radio, and we call it radio doom and gloom. So it's almost like there is a radio going on in the background in your mind. Radio doom and gloom is playing. And and in a way, what I'm suggesting to you is to, rather than being in that radio and literally just in it and it's just there, you're actually going to recognise, oh, radio doom and gloom's playing again. Oh, it's turned up a notch. It was at, volume 2, but it's volume 10 today, and turn it down. Sort of just the act of saying, oh, radio doom and gloom's here, that will unhook you from the struggle with it, full stop. That's a great thing to do, to notice it and say, oh, radio doom and gloom. That in itself will be helpful. However, you're not going to be able to switch it off as much as you'd like to, because that, again, that's like pushing away, trying to get rid of it. It's not going to work. But you can turn it down. Say, okay, radio doom and gloom's on today. Okay, I'm just going to turn you down a notch. But I know you're there. You're obviously wanting to, speak your doom and gloom to me today. But I'm just going to turn you down while I carry on doing what I'm doing. And those processes allow us to actually focus in on what we're doing, rather than getting hooked, rather than being in the radio doom and gloom or trying to turn it off, get rid of it, distract us. You know, if you try and distract yourself from radio doom and gloom, trust me, there's a little person inside that radio that will turn it right up. If you try and distract yourself and yeah, as I say, ignore it, it will turn up louder. I promise you. Whereas actually, if you acknowledge it and go, okay, radio doom and gloom, okay, just turn you down. But I know you're playing. It's all right. I'm not going to try and turn you off. I'm not trying to avoid you. I'm just going to get on with what I'm doing. But you can just play quietly in the background. It's interesting to see what happens, because actually then you carry on with things and you go, oh, I've not noticed radio doom and gloom for a while, you know. So so that's three strategies: space and rest, really key. Feeling into the physical sensations of the worry and the anxiety and giving it some physical space. And it's not literal, it's a psychological thing, but it just releases the kind of tension and the struggle with it. And then almost giving it a little bit of a humorous kind of slant on it and thinking about it as radio doom and gloom, and just turning it down, not switching it off while you carry on and doing what you're doing. So those are just some little tips around helping you with brain fog and around the worry process that has a huge impact on our ability to take in information, process it, and then remember it. So let me know how your thoughts on that. I'd be really interested to hear what you think about that. And here is to all of the incredible people raising awareness. It's not just raising awareness, it's talking about. This is the thing, talking about the real thing that happens to half the population going through it in terms of perimenopause and menopause. It's incredible this year, actually, what's going on. So I'm just really celebrating each and every one of you that are taking part, whether you're listening or you are speaking. It doesn't matter. You're taking part in this awareness day and awareness month. So yeah, absolutely fabulous, and celebrating you all.